If you remember that slide from earlier, file uploads require no changes on the server side, only on the client side. So what you learn now is not that important to you if you're not working on the client side yourself. On the server side, the logic is exactly the same, or pretty much the same we used before. Let's still implement it again. Here, I'm back in the Node application, and I want to accept uploaded files. Now, in the past, we did this with a special body parser, a special middleware, and that was Multer. So let's install that again with npm install --save Multer in the Node REST API project, not in the React project. So there we install Multer just as we did it earlier in the course. And with it installed, let's go to the app.js file, and I will implement exactly the same logic as I did before. So I'll go through that really quickly. You should check out that file upload download module if you want to learn all the details. I will first of all import Multer into my app.js file. And with it imported, I will configure some things for it. Maybe here. I will configure the file storage with Multer disk storage to control where the files get stored. And there we have a destination key, which is a function in the end, an arrow function, where I get a request object, information about the file Multer detected, and a callback I should call once I'm done defining the destination. I'm done immediately here, got no error, and the destination is images, pointing at that images folder here. So that's the first thing here. We add another function to the disk storage object, and that's the file name function, which defines how the file should be named. Get the same arguments as in the destination function. And I call that callback with null as an error, and the file name will be a combination of the date, which I convert to a string, and then a dash, and then the original file name. Really simple, exactly the same logic I used before. I'll also define a file filter where I also have, or which also is a function which gets a request, information about the file, and a callback. And in here, I'll check for a couple of MIME types. I'll see if my file MIME type is equal to image/png, or if file MIME type is equal to image JPEG, or if file MIME type is equal to image JPEG with an E. That is my if condition. If anything of that is true, then it is a valid file, and therefore I return no error and true as a second argument in the callback. Otherwise, it would be invalid, and I still have no error, but I return false here. And this is again something you learned in the file upload module. Last but not least, I need to register Multer, and I will use it here, maybe after the JSON body parser. I will use Multer as a function, pass an object to configure it, assign a storage to my own file storage constant we just created, and add a file filter which points at that file filter constant we just created. On that Multer function, I'll then also call single image to inform Multer that I'll extract a single file stored in some field named image in the incoming requests. Now every incoming request is parsed for that file or for such files. With that, Multer is registered, and now we can use the file in our controller where we create a new post. For that, in create post, I can first of all check if request file, if that is not set, because if it is not set, then I'm missing a file. So I will create a new error here. No image provided maybe. I will set my status code to 422 because it's also kind of a validation error, and I will throw that error. That's the first check. Now, if I do find a file, then everything is good. Multer was able to extract a valid file. So then I'll just set up an image URL constant, an access request, file, and there the path variable, which Multer generates, which holds the path to the file as it was stored on my server. And now this image URL is what I use here as an image URL, of course, instead of my dummy data. Now we should be able to extract files and really store them. Let me now run this, but of course now we also need to tweak our front end to be able to make that work. And I didn't do this in advance because there is something special which I want you to know. In the React code, so on the front end, go to that feed.js file in pages feed, and there let's go to the finish edit handler. There, we're setting up everything we need to send a request to the backend to create a new post. And right now we're doing this with JSON data. Now we won't use JSON data anymore because JSON data is only text. So only data that can be represented as a text, which a file can't be, or not easily. It will be very big quickly, and very big files are a huge issue or impossible to upload like this. So we can't use JSON for data where we have both a file and normal text data. Instead, we'll again use form data. Now, we did use form data automatically when earlier in the course, where we had a traditional app with rendered views, when we used a form with this multi-part form enc type, which we added to the form HTML element, if you remember. So this form data is what we'll also use here, but we'll not use anything to any form element. We'll do it all in JavaScript instead. Here, where I have this marker, this comment, we can create a new form data object with a built-in object that browser-side JavaScript offers, the form data object. This now allows us to append data to that object. For example, the title. First argument to append is the name of the field, second argument is the actual data. So here we'll have post data.title, exactly what we passed to the JSON data before. Of course, we don't just append the title, we also append the content. So let's append that. And now we also want to append an image because we can append files as well. Now this should be named image because we'll be looking for this field on our REST API. And now here I can reach out to post data image because that is where I will get my image in my front-end code. With these three fields, I got form data prepared that now has mixed content, text, and a file. And now I want to use that form data as a body for my request. We should not set the header to application JSON anymore because that would be incorrect and would break our app because we would try to parse it incorrectly on the server side. Instead, the form data will automatically set the headers. That is kind of convenient. All we need to do is we need to set form data as our body, and the rest will be done for us. We now save that and we create a new post. Let me create a post here, a duck, and choose that lovely duck image again. This is a duck and click accept. Now this was pretty quick. If I now click view here, I see my duck here, which is looking good. And on the server side, I also see this image which was generated, which has a timestamp. And this is the uploaded image. I got no error here, so this is all looking good. So uploading files also works, as you saw, on the server side. It has exactly the same logic. On the client side, things need to change. But of course, this is a Node course, so it depends on which client you're using, how you need to adjust your code there.